Hey everyone, it's that time again. It's time for a few more hidden indies. This is episode 5, and this time around, we're looking at a few different Metroidvania games that so far have flown a bit under the radar. If you've missed any of my previous episodes, I have a playlist up on my channel of all the episodes, so you can quickly get up to speed on games I've covered so far in this series. Now, unfortunately for your console gamers out there, these games are currently only available on Steam. If you're interested in checking any of these out for yourself, I'll have links in the description box below if you want to quickly and easily head over to Steam to purchase one of these or even throw it on your wish list. Additionally, this time around I have a copy of one of the games included in this video to give away, so stick around to the end of the video to see how you can enter. Now, just because all three of the games I have to show off here are the same main genre, that doesn't mean they're all exactly the same. They're actually all quite a bit different, not just in terms of their gameplay, but also with the visual style of each. The first is a Souls-like, the second is more heavy on its action platformer elements, and the third is an adventure that you can even play co-op if you choose. But without further ado, let's dive into the first game. Scarlet City of Devils is a demon punk hack and slash action adventure that takes place in the city of Elovel. As I previously mentioned, this one is a Souls-like, so expect that core gameplay style, but don't expect that overly difficult level of difficulty that is going to frustrate you if you prefer to steer clear of Souls-like games. I would definitely say this one is a bit more accessible than what that genre usually entails. As a Souls-like, you heal with flasks. Start off the game, you have a limited amount of these. Obviously, that'll increase over the course of the game. You can dodge and parry, and you'll be rewarded in combat by executing these at the right moment, opening the enemies up to attack. You start off the game with a very simple set of weapons and abilities, but naturally, in typical Metroidvania fashion, this will expand over the course of the adventure. There is no XP in this game, but you are rewarded with coins for defeating enemies. So essentially, if you wanted to, you could grind. The enemies will respawn after you activate a save point, so again, very Souls-like in nature in that way. If you meet your demise, you'll drop half of your coins. You can return to where you died and reacquire them. Again, very Souls-like. I think you get the gist at this point. This is one that is really colorful, and I do like the art, and they did actually just improve it in an update, but this footage was captured prior to that update that just dropped as I was literally editing it. And what's noteworthy about that is that this game is still being updated. The developer is listening to feedback and improving it and tweaking it in various ways. And although I think this, at the time of recording, is a really fun Metroidvania that unfortunately has not found an audience yet, I definitely wanted to highlight it first because I really recommend you check this one out. It is a lot of fun. It is very linear in terms of its progression. That's not to say that you can't branch off and explore, you certainly can. But this one does not hang you out to dry and force you to exhaust every possible section of the map before you finally stumble on the one spot you're supposed to proceed through because you lack abilities until later. This is not one of those games. This one is focused on its combat and being enjoyable both visually and in terms of that action part of it. So if you appreciate a more simplistic Metroidvania adventure, this is definitely one you shouldn't miss out on. It's a game I had a lot of fun with, I will continue to play, and I look forward to any future updates that the developer continues to drop. So make sure you check out Scarlet City of Devils on Steam. Now, the second game I have here is one that I have already previewed previously on my channel. About a month prior to release, I did a video on Metroidvania games where I showed off some that were coming soon, and this was one of them. This is Inayah, Life After Gods. This is a action platformer focused Metroidvania with a heavy emphasis on the 3 different weapons that you can use, and also boss fights. There are tons of boss fights in this game, and there's a lot of things just in general in Inayah, including different weapons. There's 3 different weapons, each have different skill trees. The story has multiple choices to its dialogue. There are a lot of different biomes. Its progression is really varied, and it's quite open. Even in the beginning, when you start this game off, you have your choice between the 3 weapons in the game. There's a set of dual katanas, there is a gauntlet, and then additionally there's like this huge flail or mace. You can actually pick which one you want to start the game with, and that's important and noteworthy because it affects how you start the game off. Now, pretty early on, within the first few hours, you're going to acquire the other 2 weapons anyways, so it's not like a catastrophe if you pick a weapon and you don't necessarily love it right at the start. Sure, you can start over, but you don't really need to do that. You're going to acquire the other 2 early on, and these weapons are super important because you can quickly and easily switch between them during combat, and they're also required for some of the platforming throughout the game. This could be a bit tricky because sometimes you need to juggle between these weapons in midair. There are different ways that you can do this. The game has different control options. I found this to be a bit awkward, but once you get a proper handle on how this controls, it'll come second nature just like any other game. Of the 3 games on the list, I definitely think this one, in terms of its art and aesthetics, is the most beautiful of the games, and it also has the highest production values, as it does have a heavy emphasis also on voice acting. I'm a bit mixed on the voice acting though. I don't really know what to make of it. I don't love it, but I also don't hate it either. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. I do think that it could be a bit better, and who knows, I doubt it, but there's always the possibility that they could improve it.
Tell me again how to make the most of fate kicking the crap out of me. Why would they wander alone in places crawling with monsters?
It's easier to hide alone or scout. But these are just my guesses. But your fellow tribesmen will give you answers. I know you'll find them.
This, just like the first game we covered, is still being updated. This just released at the end of March of 2025, and I see updates come through on Steam for this game almost every couple days. I'm sure most of them are probably bug fixes and not big tweaks, but this is definitely a game that can continue to be improved because there are things about it that aren't really the greatest. The main issue I have with it is that the map system isn't the best. Now, the map is laid out just fine for the most part, but there are times where the map is misleading. Like this room here, where it shows that I can enter the room below me by going straight down. This is actually not the case. You actually have to go to the bottom right and go right to leave this room and get to the room below me. Why doesn't the line denote that? And also, why does the icon for Inayah not show me about where I am in this block of each room? It's just really cryptic in that regard, in terms of, okay, like I know I'm in this room and I know I can go to this room. Why is it so confusing on how I get to the next room and where I am in the current room I'm on? I don't love the map system, genuinely. That's kind of the biggest complaint I have here. The combat's fun. I love the art. The music is really atmospheric. It has a decent amount of variety in its enemy design and stuff like that, but the world and map design definitely leaves a little bit to be desired. So hopefully that's something they do tackle in a future update. But Inayah is a pretty fun game that is definitely one I think you should check out if you're really into boss fights, because that's a big part of the game. The third and final game that I have for you here is a little different than the previous two because this one has been out for a while and it doesn't appear to be getting updates anymore. So this one's kind of it is what it is type of situation, and that's unfortunate because there are things about it that I think hurt the experience quite a bit, but I do still think it's pretty fun. And I think it's pretty neat that it is co-op. I wasn't able to try this out, but I do like the dual character system, and you will still interact with this even if you play it single player. This one is called Anima Flux, and it's a co-op Metroidvania where you're going to play as two genetically enhanced soldiers. One of these is a female character that has a bow, so she's ranged, and then the other is a male character who has a sword and is your melee character. Now, as I previously mentioned, it is a co-op game, so if you were to play this in co-op, obviously you would each control one of the two characters. Playing it single player, your second player is always going to be controlled by the AI. You can switch quickly and easily between the two characters with a press of the D-pad, but for my money, I found playing the melee character to be optimal because the AI for the second player seemed to be smarter, I guess, when they had the range character and more useful in that regard. This one, much like the first game, does not have an XP system and is pretty simplistic overall because the main thing you're going to do is defeat enemies, acquire coins, and then proceed on. Now, you are given quests in this, but this game, and this is my first complaint, is really cryptic in your progression. They give you quests, sure, but they don't ever give you any sort of indication on really where you should be going. So this is the type of Metroidvania for those of you that don't mind wandering around and exhausting all those possibilities to finally figure out which way you're supposed to go to complete this quest or that quest. Also, you really need to pay attention to the dialogue from the NPCs, simply because they're going to tell you where you should probably be going, or more or less giving you hints on where you should be going, and this information is not really logged very well in your quest log. So if you aren't paying attention or you forget, hopefully you remember where they were, because that's going to be the only way where you can hear that information again. Also, in terms of the combat, this one seemed a bit brutal because you basically attack with one button. And yeah, you get new abilities and those are mapped to different buttons, but it's very kind of button mashery. So there didn't seem to be a whole lot of strategy that went into it. And the way you heal in this is really weird. Like, you can acquire medkits, but once you use it, you have to find a station to refill your medkit or restock it, and you can't do this simply by saving the game, which is something that also isn't really explained very well. Like, yeah, you'll learn how to save the game and what these save points look like, but very early on I wasn't clear with these tubes that these were where I was saving the game. I did figure it out, but not really explained that well. Again, this is one with just some beautiful art design, and that is definitely the highlight of this game as a whole. This one is probably for those of you that fall into one of two categories. Either you really love the art and aesthetics in your games, or two, if you have somebody to play this co-op with. Because I think playing this with a buddy would definitely be more fun than playing this single player with an AI controlling your second player. But even still, it's a pretty neat Metroidvania and worth checking out. But if I had to rank the three games, this would definitely be the one that's lowest on my list. So that's it. That's all three of the Metroidvanias that I wanted to showcase in episode 5 of my Hidden Indies series. I really hope you enjoy these videos. I definitely enjoy making them and sharing these lesser known games with all of you. Now, for those of you that stuck around to learn about the giveaway, if you check the pinned comment below, you'll see a link to my Twitter or X post where you can enter the giveaway for a copy of the second game that we looked at, which was Inayah Life After Gods. Thank you to the team for providing this for the giveaway for this video. Definitely head on over to my socials, throw me a follow. I would really appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. If you have any questions on any of these 3 games, if there was anything you felt like I didn't cover or you were curious about, definitely let me know in the comments below. As always, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.